It's time for another review and I, Clone One, get to host the show. And what the snuffle buggers are you doing? Hosting the show, I was told... Oops, rebelled. Roll the titles. Let's get started with a news roundup. The biggest news, and I'm pretty sure you'll have already seen this, is the picture that was produced at Comic-Con of Wonder Woman for the new Batman vs Superman film. It trended on social media sites for 2 whole days, which is more than anything else that came that weekend. And I can't believe we've still got to wait another 2 years for the film. Mind you, I'd rather have the 3-year gap between the films rather than the 2. Gives them enough time to make it as good as Man of Steel. It has been reported that Kevin Feige, director of Bridesmaids, is planning on rebooting Ghostbusters.
What's Ghostbusters?
I like Bridesmaids, but dude, seriously, there are some films you just do not reboot. Ghostbusters is one of them. Even worse, they've said that it might be an all-female cast, which set off dubious alarm bells in my head. Bridesmaids, all-female cast. I think someone somewhere was chuckling to themselves when they wrote that garbage. Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters!
Oh, it's Ghostbusters.
Talking of reboots, filming on the new Fantastic Four has just finished. So far nothing is known about the new film, however it could be connected to the Avengers Marvel universe. Well, I hope it is. I sort of like the original and the second one was far superior, however they just weren't, fantastic.
Oh.
Still that funny?
I see all you include.
And that's the news so far. On to a trailer for a, well, you could say a reboot or a sequel. Click here to watch a preview of Mad Max Fury Road. There's no Mel Gibson this time, but Max is played by none other than Tom Hardy. However, George Miller, who directed the original trilogy, is back in the hot seat for this one. It seems that there's not much explained in this trailer, and that's how it should be. However, it does look like Max has got his car back that he had in the second movie, which, if you remember, was awesome. Expect the film to be released next year. It's now time for a retro review, where I delve into the past and review anything from movies to books or anything else that comes to mind. Recently I had the misfortune of watching The Untouchables once again. I know, it's seen as a classic and is loved by many, but I just can't stand it. It's far too slow and boring. Don't get me wrong, the acting is great, especially Sean Connery, but it just isn't enough for me. Take the classic scene in the train station where the woman is pushing the pram up the stairs. Ness knew that the bad guys were not going to show up until exactly midnight, but he stood there waiting and watching her for 5 whole minutes until, oh, I'll go and help her out. So he went down and started helping her out, just in time for the bad guys to show up. And then we get a shootout in slow motion that dragged it out even more. Fair enough if you enjoyed it, but from now on I'm going to avoid it like a reboot of a truly classic film, like Ghostbusters. Or Sharknado.
No. Yes, no.
Let's move on to movie review of some recent films, starting with Transformers: Age of Extinction. Yes, I know it's been panned by critics. A frying pan? Such an old joke. The film isn't as bad as they're saying, it's just not great. There were far too many new characters and none of the originals apart from a few robots. Because there were so many, it got to the point where one backstory got lost because another backstory was introduced. In fact, the only character I liked was Kelsey Grammer's bad guy. Obviously there was plenty of action, which for the most part wasn't overwhelming. However, it became saturated during the final hour. Too much was happening to keep up. Then we were introduced to the Dinobots. That's when things got frantic. And there's no point in me relaying any of the story as it's basically the same as the first 3. If you just want a popcorn crunching, brain turned off film, this one's for you. I give it a... not much more meets the eye on this one. The second film I saw was Guardians of the Galaxy, which was far superior. This has everything: engaging characters, great story, fun action and lots of humour. It's also tied into the Avengers universe without actually having any of said characters involved. The pace of the film is perfect and never lets you lose the plot of what's happening. There are plenty of magical moments throughout the film, but I feel that they saved the best for the very end. Right after the end credits, in fact. I won't spoil it for you here, but I will tell you this. I laughed out loud. Yes, I lolled. It is definitely worth waiting around for. May not be as good as Avengers Assemble, but it does go on to the plus side of the entire franchise. I give it a... and yes, they will be returning. It said so at the end. Spoilers! Not really, it's just been announced that a sequel is on its way. Anyway, it's time to go. Until the next time, peace out! Hey, Clone One, meet Fist. It's typical, you know, I've just started filming and the sun's come out. It's been in most of the day, it's been raining, and now it chooses to come out when I don't want it. Yeah. The biggest news we... The biggest news you will have seen is already... The biggest news, and I'm pretty sure you'll have already seen it, is the pants. What? The biggest news, and I'm pretty sure you'll have already seen it, is the picture that was produced at Comic-Con of Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman. The biggest news, and I'm pretty sure you'll have already seen this, is the picture that was produced at Comic-Con of Wonder Woman for the new Superman vs. Batman film. I cocked up right at the end there. There's going to be a lot of outtakes on this one clip.